Hello, 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 my loves. Welcome to EQ with JAH. How are you guys? It's been a minute. I know. So there's a lot that's going on in the world. And as an energy reader, I tend to see things in a different type of mindset. So I see the cycle of life that exists within the young generation, the middle generation, and then the elder generation. And I see how the the Gen Z, they say, and like the baby boomers, they're disconnected because they're completely different worlds. These generations have never had to touch. They know completely different concepts of life, completely different rules about what they believe and feel, and it's all because this is the human cycle. But what's in the middle? What's this space in the middle? You see where my face lies? I'll represent the space in the middle. Me, I would fall into the middle of the elders and the youth because I'm 35, and so that makes me a facilitator. We keep forgetting that as we get older, the whole yin yang symbol, which I have, and I'm going to pull that up in a minute to just get to the point for my sake, and then I'll show you my little demonstration. It's understanding that the cycle of life dwells within these two spheres of worlds. They're two completely different worlds, but yet they live in the same world and they have to try to understand each other. And what I've learned is the facilitators are always the people in the, after their 20s, the mid 30s to 40s. That's where we say we have our midlife crisis, but it's really when we have our awakening. This is that moment of our rebirth per se. You know what I mean? Like you feel your body changing, you feel your thoughts changing, your taste in food changes, your style in clothes. You just start to become either more comfortable with yourself or more confused. That's okay. But this is that space of what I call the gray space. This is the gray matter that lies in the brain of our hemispheres of everything that connects our masculine and feminine. And so these are the energies that we go into as we age as well. Think of the seed. The youth is the flower. The flesh, or the fresh, I said flesh, but I'm thinking of flesh because our flesh represents that flower, that youthful young flower that's born into this world brand new, happy and go lucky, doesn't even know it has seeds to spread, it just knows it's a flower. And then around that mid age, we realize, okay, we're a flower, we have seeds to spread, but we're only going to be this flower for so long. We as the individual flower, we get caught up in thinking that we're losing to life, and we have this scarcity mindset, and then we rush into trying to mine. Then we create this generation of elders who believe taking from the youth is more important to giving back to the cycle. You understand? Like the roots are the thing that connects the flowers to the source, and the roots are the thing that connects its source back to the flower. So, this is something that we have to learn how to accept as we age. We always go from a seed to a flower. That is just the process. A seed to a fruit, a seed to a being. Whatever the case is, we all started in somebody's sack and made it to somebody's womb and egg to be born. This is just the process. So, what I wanted to use is a diagram because everyone's seen, I know it's backwards in the camera, but that's okay. But everyone's seen the yin and yang symbol. And what I want people to remember here, I'll do that to take the distraction away from these two. So, this is going to be, let's see, I can't do it that way. So, the yin represents everything that is so wait, let me read the definition. I wrote it on the back because I want to use this again as my tool. But the symbol, this symbol meaning is the concept of polarity. So these are polar opposites, right? Polar opposites. This white blob and this black blob are considered opposites. Okay, that's the polarity. And the dualism. So the dualism is they reflect each other because they also have the same shape, they have this dot, they reflect this negative space and the white space and all of that gap of creation here, okay? They're contrary forces, all right, that are interconnected. So this circle represents the body. Okay? And so these things are interconnected, they're interdependent, and they're of the natural world, which is complementary to the other as a reflection that fits as a puzzle piece. Okay, so that was a mouthful, I know, but let's take this in. If we understand as above, so below, as above, so below, as above, so below, as above, so below, this has always been the cycle of the human existence, right? Okay, so again, think of this circle is the human body, okay? This is the avatar. This is the vessel. This is everything that we represent. This whole circle is the cell of a human body, okay? Now, the yin represents the black negative space of the womb, the darkness of the unknown in a space that we don't know, we don't understand. This is called what we call the negative space, the moon, the dark space, the earth, passive energy, water, because water is still in passive and deep and dark as the sea can go. We don't really know what's down there. We can only send so many cameras, but that don't mean everything gonna float in front of the camera, okay? Below, it means cold, and it's growth, because again, we grow in darkness. This is the seed. We are the womb that represents the seed in darkness. And when this seed grows, bloop, now the seed is now seen and it's out in the light, which is the yang. The yang is our white energy, which is our positive sun, light, air, active, fire, above, heat, generation, legacy. Now, what I want to say is when we say positive, we just mean positively charged and negatively charged, not in the context of someone saying this is negative bad and this is positive good. No, that's not what this means. Okay, same thing for light. The light represents what we see. The light reflections of everything is white light, and then it goes to some type of light prism that becomes colors. This is everything that goes. You can do the whole cone thing in the eyeballs, look up your human anatomy, you'll figure that out. But this side of us represents the ego. This is the body. So play this game with me. This is the soul. That's just this little piece of light that was planted into the womb or into the ground, a seed, and it doesn't know it's around it, it's just growing. But when it grows, bloop, it pops out into the light. When it pops out into the light, now it is this physical form, this physical manifestation of whatever was inside of that seed now physically has bloomed and blossomed out into the light. This is why this represents the ego, okay? So we get to a point of forgetting that both of these represent us. If you want to take it even deeper, which I'm going to do, okay, now I'm going to take those off. Each one of these represents not only your body, okay, this also represents your soul, or actually this is your soul, and this represents your ego, okay? But this is the brain inside of the body, right? And then this is the intuition or our gut feeling or the gut brain inside of the soul, right? The soul has all of the remembrance of the heart. It remembers everything that the heart has forgotten. So when we allow ourselves to think, I dwell in each of these, and each of these represent me. So this represents feminine energy, the womb, creation, cold, dark. But that's why emotional stuff is so hard for people to deal with, because it's made in a place that we really still have no idea where our emotions come from. And then this represents, again, our thinking body. The flesh that we forget is a part of this journey. You're not just the soul and you're not just the body. You're both that are interchangeably working together to create life. Now, if we go back to my original description, this represents the youth. This represents the elders drying back up into a seed and going back into birth, which is death. This is that youth, a white little light that's born in the womb that goes out into light, boom, becomes a plant, but then we'll go back to a seed. In this middle, this is again this middle age of what I call the facilitators. The people who are in their 30s to 40s who get the opportunity Now that I described that enough, I know it seems like a lot, but I wanted to see like we have the opportunity to remember this side again, our feminine mass, our feminine dark energy, our moon energy. This is our emotional energy, and then our yang, which is our fire energy, our ego, our sun sign, all that stuff. This is our logical thinking brain. Okay, so we have the opportunity to compile all three of these, and when I say a tertiary aspect, you have one, you have two, you have three, but then within that, you still have one and two and three, and I mean, people have the whole, there's an algorithm to this with the three, three, and nine, and all of that. But my friend Jate is very good at that. She knows all of this stuff. But this is where again, where I say logically, we can say that this would fit in there, and that would fit in there. Practically, we know that well, they're opposites of the half, so they should work. And then emotionally, you take the chance. This is what this is all about. Everything here that I was trying to describe, I know that was a lot. Breathe with me, take it all in. Nothing about this life is easy, okay? And so to simply think that you're just here, you're just born from something, and you're just sitting here talking and speaking and observing, and you don't really stop to conceptualize where that energy comes from, you forget who you are. Your body is your masculine energy. If you forget to use your body, mobility, workout, health, you're going to decay, and then you serve no purpose until you reseed, rebirth, and come back up stronger, newer than last time. These are past lives. It's the same thing. A tree can tell you the cycle. Every time a year passes and passes through a season, it gets stronger because it gets what? Conditioned. That's why it's hard to break some people's behaviors and traits and thoughts. But you have to remember, this is part of my life. My body is my life. If my body's not moving, I have no life. The soul's purpose is to remember the emotions that it did last time to not survive, which is why we have that survival instinct to feel like I have to survive, I have to survive. But that's only the innate, again, what we call the lizard brain. That's only our survival brain because it's like, okay, I'm alive, I have to do this because I know at some point I won't be here. But once you get comfortable and you live a few seasons, you start to see that, I need to put the same amount of work into my soul. My soul needs to remember who it is. My soul needs to let go of what it did, and whatever guilt associated it, whatever it is not happening to you currently. If you're still sad about 8 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, those are not your emotions. They were never your emotions to begin with, because your real emotions will dictate and tell you, this ain't our shit. Fake emotions convince you that you should feel bad and guilty and feel some sort of way because it's unresolved. But until you resolve it, it's just going to sit there stagnant as a seed. Like I said, all of this is interconnected. However you want to take it, it always goes back to however you take care of your seed when it's in the womb is what it's going to become in the light. That's why it's as above, so below. Okay? If you don't take care of your soul, if you don't do the work, as I said ever and over, the work is the emotional traumas, remembrance, disadvantages, whatever it is that made you feel bad. I don't care how trivial someone says it is. Your emotions are your emotions based on the conditioning of what you got. And if something so traumatic to you seems way more traumatic to someone else, own it. It's okay, but don't get mad that you feel you're not getting to tell your story. Tell your story, because however you let this seed fester in a slew of darkness. This is all creation. This is what I call the moment of quantum creation. This is in our brain, that dark space. If we have no idea where these thoughts and these emotions come from, we can read 1,000 books and then have to sit there and say, well, I know. No, you don't. You read. Before you read, you didn't know. Correct? Okay, but you were speaking. Okay, where did those words come from? Someone taught you. If someone didn't teach you and someone didn't give you a book to read, would you know what language is? Would you know how to still communicate? We do not know. I know that our ancestors know, and they had to come up with linguistics for us to learn how to speak to each other. This is why it's important to remember where we come from, but not to dig into the earth and pull up fossil fuels of our energies that lay to rest to give us back new source energy to remember why we don't need to destroy ourselves. This is all synergy. Synergy is this all encompassing body that has these two dwelling souls, these two dwelling energies, Look, this is you, this is your mama, this is your daddy, this is your grandma, this is your granddaddy, right? Or this could be your grandma and your granddad. This could be your grandma and your grandpa, because on your dad's side he has his parents, or your mom's side she has her parents, or your dad's side he has his parents. This is all connected, okay? However you look at it. But what you have to remember is these are how you tap into your brains, okay? When you tap into your brains, you start to see, like, wait a minute, I see that how I feel is how my mom used to feel when my dad did this. Bam, that's tracing the pathology. Now you know that emotion does not belong to me. And I'm going to get rid of it, because now I know how my feminine energy reacts is how my masculine energy reacts. How my masculine energy reacts is how my feminine energy reacts. Why? Because they're interconnected and interdependent, and they keep flowing off of each other because they're in the same body. Now, if you want to go deeper and trace the pathology, that's when you start looking at, okay, this is grandma and granddad and grandma and granddad. How much of the unknown that I don't know that they put in dad that I never see, and how much of the things I know that I see they put in mom, but she don't see. That's a whole nother level of doing the work. But it's important to know, if you don't trace back your own pathology of emotions, you're going to get stuck living in a paradigm or living in a narrative that does not belong to you. You're going to live somebody else's life your entire life, and then one day, midlife crisis, you wake up, this ain't my life. This was never my life. I never wanted to be this person. I never wanted to do this, because we live so long only knowing our shell. We never allowed ourselves to go into our own little personal hells and work through them and realize it ain't ever gonna go nowhere until I create a new hell. And if that new hell is one where I don't even think of it, then that's your creation. My thing is that I'm so far gone from what people call a hell. I've been through so much in this real 3D life that there's nothing that can torture me emotionally on the outside world that I haven't put myself emotionally through by myself. And so that's how I learned how to put the two together and say, whatever I'm going through, there's always going to be somebody who has the same journey, the same story. And that's why it's important to express what we feel. Okay? Again, if no one thought of language or words or anything, how could I be talking to you right now? Maybe telepathically, I don't know. I mean, the eyes tell you a lot. You can look at someone's eyes. I mean, I'm smiling a little bit, but my eyes, they can speak. We are emotional beings. So it's not that we wouldn't figure it out. We just were smart enough to make language as a tool. But if you use it as a tool, you will always gain versus lose. But if you use it as a weapon, you're going to end up losing something. Anything that is used as a weapon is taking away something from the natural elements. So that's what they say. If you take something away, something else has to balance it out. If you give something, it'll balance it out. If you give, it gives back to you. If you take away, it takes away from you. So this is the balance of learning how to play with your energies. If it don't feel right, don't do it. Your energy is telling you what you need to do for your body, for your path. If it feels right, do it. But if you're thinking with the collective brain of a bunch of people who've never taken the time to do any work, you're going to get trapped. You're trapping yourself into a paradigm. And that's a linear space of bing, 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 bing. This ain't me. This ain't me. Right? So, understanding that is really important to really think about when we say, I'm a man, or I'm a woman, or I'm bisexual, or I'm gay, or I'm a lesbian, or I'm an alpha, or a beta, or a male. What are all these titles that we have? They are all correlated back to masculine and feminine energy, yin and yang, okay? Yin being the feminine, yang being the masculine. This is in all of us, even from our grandparents, because they gave it to them who gave it to us. Do you see that? They gave it to them who gave it to us. They gave it to them who gave it to us. We are the whole symbol of the yin and yang. And then if you take it on a bigger energetic level, that's when you start seeing your partners. That's when you start recognizing, well, maybe I'm more my feminine energy and I think with my masculine brain. And now I'm more of my masculine energy, but I think with my feminine brain. This is what I would call a divine pair. This is what we do. It's not about who's more manly or womanly or this. It has nothing to do with biological parts. This is our pure energetic science. This is how it works. So if you're able to be your true, authentic, divine feminine, and know that you're loving in nature and nurturing and all of that, but you're strong as fuck because you have the mind of your masculine working for you all the time. The same thing for the masculine. You're always on guard, you're always protecting, you're always phallic, you're always ready to go. But you think with your emotional brain because you're so protected out here, you get to explore and think. This is how it works. This is why most females are the protector, the matriarchs. They take care of everything, or the feminine energy. And this is why the masculine is usually more like, oh, baby, 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 because they're hard all the time and they have to be soft. So it's part of who we are. This is not something that we don't know, like, where did masculine and feminine come from, or where this is how boys and girls act. No, we just realized that biologically, certain women and men had to figure out their energies innately. We started out as these very simple things, and then it kept splitting off. And the energy kept becoming something else, and we kept intermixing and intertwining, and that's just how science and the universe and nature works. It keeps crossbreeding and hibernating and making new species. The world has always evolved that way. It has never been keep my species pure the way you think pure is. No, it's always been keep making new stuff. That's what I love to do. That's what nature does. It's we are co-creators to the creator. And the creator is whatever, again, is growing plants and making things happen in the ocean. Something put it here, and if it just was here, it was just here, but we didn't put it here. And this is where we have to take honor and our ancestors and pay homage to what we've gone through to get to here. You know, for me, it took me a really long journey to get to here, where it's like I am a masculine gay man. That used to feel weird to say, but I had to stipulate it because people assume gay means only feminine, but feminine is beautiful, and I love feminine men. But at the same time, I knew that I wasn't a feminine man, so I didn't want to keep being forced into an energy that I was not for somebody else's understanding or approval. And that's what I don't need. I don't need someone's validation. So I went on my own self reflection journey, and that's how I learned, okay, I'm sensitive and all this and loving and nurturing and kind, but I love to protect. I'm big, it's fun, I love to work out. No. I love to be healthy and be able to take care of my family. That's that protector brain. And I know that my partner is a nurturer who can hold the whole family together, keep everything orderly, and know that emotionally I can lean on them. This is how we get to a place of understanding who we are. It's not about the body or the looks. Yeah, you can get what you want physically. Don't get me wrong. It's physical, mental, sexual, the threes, okay? Physically, mentally, if you ain't got sexual, and sexually, physically, if you ain't got mental. And these are choices we get to make, but that's free will. You also have the opportunity to wait. Because if you only go for body, that's a twin flame relationship. If you only go for the mind, that's a soulmate relationship. But if you wait to get both your physical and your mental, now you got your divine union, or they call it I forgot something ray. Something I forgot what it is. Twin ray. It's a twin ray. So basically these are your power couples, right? You got two whole people who know that they're whole, and they know that now they're thinking with my masculine and my feminine in this brain, all this, they know that all of this is whole. And then you take another whole person, let's take another whole yin yang sign. Guess what? When you force those together, they just get bigger. That's what synergy is. They just become one bigger collective of how your energy works. And you can have two protectors and be both nurturers. You can have two nurturers who are protectors. You can mix it up. But as long as you know that your body, your ego is satisfied with what you want, and that your soul is happy with what you know you deserve. Because that's how you get back to a place of homeostasis and balance. And then we get to see what love is. And then we get to show the younger generations what love looks like. And then the older generation gets to remember what love felt like. Because that's really what it gets back to, is the older generation starts to forget how it feels because ain't nobody checking in on them, ain't nobody wanting to touch them, ain't nobody looking at them like they used to. So guess what? Who owns everything? Guess why they try to shut stuff down? That's why it's important to love your elders and respect them, but also help them get to a point of growing, not just, withering away. And that's the same with your youth. They come into this world feeling like they know, they got everything at their at their hand, but they forget someone created all this shit that you feel you know so much about. You know what I mean? So this is why us as the facilitators, we are the yin and yang of our own lives. And I tell people, when you get to a point in your life that you know you have something to say, you're meant to be a teacher, love. And this is how we keep growing our world. And this is how we keep healing our world. And this is how we keep healing ourselves. It's important to remember that you are a part of a collective conscious, that every time you feel something, you're going to press it onto someone else and then they feel it. And then that feeling replicates. And now it's a real feeling because someone decided to validate it as, I didn't want to say nothing. I just want them to have their moment versus what's going on. And you can get to the root cause of the original emotion. And then you can move past it before you make some hybrid of something that never existed. This is why it's very important to, again, we all start out in the womb as a seed, and then we grow up and get older and we pass away. So you get to start choosing what kind of legacy you want to leave on this earth. Mine is, I want people to know their emotions so well that they don't question who the fuck they are. I want people to know their emotions so well that they don't shit on somebody else for trying to be vulnerable. I want people to know their emotions so well that they're not confused when someone loves them, but they've been traumatized so much that they don't even know what real love looks like, feels like, or even they have no answer. And this isn't fair because people keep creating paradigms and realities in these little selfish worlds of, what I get to do this to you because someone did this to me. And we have to crush and eradicate this bully system of not letting the self be expressed and loved correctly. The cycle is up to you, but it all comes back. All you got to learn is the law of duality and the law of polarity. Know that you are always at pulled opposites of some extreme, but there's always some duality that connects you. That's where the whole Venn diagram comes from, a compare and contrast. It was never meant to compare and contrast to say who's better or worse. It was to compare and contrast to understand how to find balance. Find balance in yourself. Love yourself. Be kind to yourself. Listen to yourself, because then you get a better mental health. You get a better place of energetic and emotional homeostasis. And then your body energetically instantly is like, man, I feel good. I want to work out. I want to stretch. I want to go do stuff. Remember, your body reacts to whatever the soul remembers it wants to be and do. Okay? So bring it back to the center. Keep yourselves aligned. Whatever you need to do. If you like watching movies all day, fine, watch movies all day. But while you're doing it, just write about how you feel about it. Ain't nobody giving you no test or grade or nothing. It's just use the things that our ancestors gave us to use to grow. Don't let it wither away and then act surprised when don't nobody want to hire you because you don't know nothing. This is a part of life, people. It's not about just, I'm not talking about racial stuff. I'm talking specifically about when you know you're at your best and you're at a place where you feel qualified, but you ain't ready. That's still up to you. You got to know how to put in the work to make sure that you're prepared for any environment, any circumstance, just like a seed. This is how we start finding our path. This is how we start getting comfortable with ourselves. And this is, again, this is the alignment to creation, which is love. And when you see yourself create something and you're like, I feel good about this, and then somebody else loves it, wow, that's the best feeling in the world. Keep doing that to yourself for your own emotion's sake, so that you can have a better clarity of mental health, so that you can make practical choices with logical decisions that you know came from a healthy emotional place. That was long. I love you if you made it to the end. Thank you, Bezos. As always, you can check me out on my IG and Facebook. That's EQ with JAH. You can also check me out on Spotify, where you can find my season 1 of my podcast, I Am Knowing I Am. And you can also follow me on random platforms like TikTok and stuff. I don't know. Everything's below. I love you guys. Oh, my website, epicenity.org. You can also check that out as well, where I have my blog as well as my services and other things that I do. So I love you. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Love yourselves. Listen to yourselves. Be kind, my loves. Mwah, mwah, mwah.